Mr. Smith.
Almighty God, we give you thanks and praise for your great goodness towards us. Be with the mayor and council this evening as they go about the public business. Lead, guide, and direct them. Be with our employees as they go about their daily affairs, especially those that put themselves in harm's way and in life-saving positions for others. These things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda this evening is present life-saving award to Officers McGee and Roney from Jackson County Legislative Delegation. Gentlemen. Yes, Ms. Phillips, will you read the citation?
Commending Officers Roney and McGee on receiving the Scottsboro Police Department Life-Saving Certificate. Whereas it is with highest commendation that we recognize Officers Roney and McGee on receiving the Scottsboro Police Department Life-Saving Certificate, and whereas while effecting a felony robbery arrest at the intersection of Highway 72 and Snodgrass Road on August 10, 2017, Officers McGee and Roney witnessed a vehicle that was traveling west on Highway 72 leave the roadway, crash into an embankment, and partially overturn. They asked Officer Tyler McLemore, a police trainee assigned to him to keep the felony prisoner secure, and Officer Roney and McGee drove their patrol cars a short distance, exited their vehicles, and ran toward the flame-engulfed vehicle. While Officer McGee warded off the fire with a fire extinguisher and searched for occupants inside the vehicle, Officer Roney climbed into the overturned vehicle's broken sunroof and located the driver, Jennifer Nicole Brownfield, 39, of Scottsboro, Alabama. Officer Roney ensured there was no one else inside the vehicle before coaxing Ms. Brownfield to stand, grabbing her from under her arms and pulling her out of the burning vehicle. Officer Roney carried Ms. Brownfield to a safe distance so she would not incur harm in case the vehicle should explode. Whereas, placed in a life-threatening situation and without a moment's hesitation, Officers Roney and McGee placed themselves in the line of peril and saved a life. For their meritorious actions, Officers Roney and McGee received the Scottsboro Police Department Life-Saving Certificate. Whereas Officers Roney and McGee demonstrated immense courage, diligence, and quick response in a life-threatening situation, their loyalty and unwavering commitment to protect and serve the residents of Scottsboro were evidenced through their willingness to make the quick and proper response in order to protect the lives of others. Whereas Officers Roney and McGee epitomizes the quality of those who serve and protect, they are truly deserving of the distinguished honor bestowed upon them. Now therefore be it resolved by the Legislature of Alabama, both houses thereof concurring, that we hereby recognize and honor Officers Roney and McGee as recipients of the Scottsboro Police Department Life-Saving Certificate, and direct that they receive a copy of this resolution as evidence of our admiration and esteem. Signed by Governor Kay Ivey.
We've had instances of folks running away from danger. These folks ran into danger to help save a life. We appreciate that. Thank you for what you do for the city of Scottsboro. Also in that, they have been nominated. There's a Medal of Honor for statewide law enforcement agencies inside the legislature, and they have been nominated for recipients of that. I don't know the outcome of that. That's Thursday, I believe, down in Montgomery. You probably are invited, Chief, to come down and be a part of that. So we thank you for your service. We thank you for your protection of our lives. And while other folks say, and other places go to one way, we appreciate what y'all do. Thank you, sir.
J Spirits. Ms. Phillips, will you share the particulars, please?
The applicant is Naheed Desai, type of license retail liquor for off-premise consumption, doing business as NJ Spirits, located at 701 East Willow Street, Suite B. There were 5 businesses surveyed with no objections and 1 resident surveyed with no objections. The nearest church and school footage requirements were met. The license application is in order, health, fire, and building inspections comply, and zoning verification complies.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Is there anyone here in addition to the applicant in support of this application? Anyone here in support? Is there anyone here opposed to this application? Anyone opposed? This concludes the public hearing. Mr. Desai will have another public hearing and a vote next week, okay?
Thank you.
Next is discuss LED conversion. Mr. Mayor, you want to go over that for us?
Yes, sir. Back last spring, council approved converting the LED, to LED lighting for the library, police department, and rec center. I've got some updated numbers on that as far as our energy savings. I think Rick had done an analysis, but he included 3 months that installation was either in process or had not been done. But the police department is tracking to save about $7,500 a year by that conversion, and the RecCom is tracking to save about $14,500 a year with that savings. This cover page, I gave you, Whitney, the updated quotes, but I think the number is in their packet. Okay. But we've got a current quote to convert. What I was requesting or to discuss was converting Fire Station 1 to LED lighting. That quote is $13,988. I think that's 250 lights with 11 different fixtures throughout the building. And then converting City Hall here, and that quote converted is $7,400. And I think there's 305 different bulbs or so forth here in City Hall.
Okay, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes.
You said that the numbers I had gotten last week, right?
From Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the police station, they had projected we'd see an 8-month payback.
Yeah.
It's been 10 months. And the number I saw that we'd seen a savings of approximately $4,000. Is that not accurate?
Well, what?
I mean, still a savings.
Yeah.
It's just certainly not at the rate that we had.
No, that's correct.
So the payback is much longer than what we had anticipated, because
Well,
that was a cost of $15,800, I believe.
yeah, and we're tracking to save about $7,500 a year, so you're looking at about a 2-year payback. But you've also, in the winter months, we've had a couple of months of a little colder than normal, you know, and so either way, yes. I guess that answers your question. Maybe.
Any other discussion, questions?
Chief, is the lighting better?
Yes, sir. Each one of those panels, fluorescent panels, where there's 4 bulbs, they just got 2 in them, and they give as much light or better light than the 4 bulbs.
Okay. Steve, the company representative's here, if you've got a specific question about the product from him.
I was looking.
I think, Ivana, you're fairly satisfied with the RecCom, I know, in the gymnasiums, or I think it improved lighting for sure.
And it is a savings.
It is a savings.
We've got, well, you know, you can just walk around City Hall and see all the different type fixtures. We've got several ballasts that are out here that we chose just to not replace, hoping at some point, you know, we can do this building.
One of the things that I could say on the projected savings, part of the deal is the maintenance savings as well, and that's obviously not in the energy bill.
No, that's correct.
And, also, you know, you're looking, the lights usually make up, depending on how the facility is put together, but the light part is usually about 25% of the overall bill. So if you've got an overpowering hot or cold at the wrong time compared to the previous, you know, time period you're looking at. In a couple of instances, we put some extra bulbs in, where the chief needed them in the police station to give some advance in the light, so.
I think they've been real pleased with the police department.
So, the next facility, or the only facility we're talking about at this point is Fire Station 1
And City Hall.
and City Hall. Mr. Smith, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I think that when we talked about this sometime back for all this, when it first began, I was reluctant to go along. I thought it was a lot of money. But since that time, I've talked to everybody that is involved. They like it. But more important to me than that is that Home Depot had the bulbs that you could just put in your existing fluorescent lights. And I bought those for my garages and my workshop and all that stuff. And I didn't know that I couldn't see until we put these things in. They're so much brighter, do so much better. I'm for it, 100% now, where I wasn't exactly that before.
Sure.
We'll put it on next week.
All right, thank you.
Discuss police vehicle financing. We got bids back this week. I was a little disappointed with our numbers that came back. We did have a couple of financial institutions that normally give us very favorable rates that did not participate in this bid because, quite frankly, we are still working on an audited financial statement. Mr. Mayor, you know, we asked about this a few weeks ago, and I stated to Mr. Smith that I had checked with our accountant. They had indicated that it wasn't anything to worry about at this point.
Right.
I'm disappointed that they did not participate in this bid because of the fact that we do not have that audit. We've come in over budget. We had projected approximately $102,000 a year on payback cycle. The number is actually coming in just shy of $105,000 a year. So the fact that we do not have that financial documentation in place is now impeding our business to do, our ability to do business efficiently. And I would ask that we touch base with the school board, and if we need to, somebody in Montgomery to get this squared away.
Yeah. Dr. Reyes and I have talked, and of course this is of no doing of his, but they were told, I think that they're going to present it to the school board. Not sure when they meet again. I think the next meeting they have, is my understanding, they were going to be presenting the document to the school board. You know, you're correct, because you and I and Rick had talked about this, and I think based on some verbal quotes about the rates, it's about a $10,000 over the life of the note difference than what we had expected. And I share those numbers as well, so, yes.
You have a copy of the bid responses in your packet. Does anyone have any questions? No. Mr. Smith?
Is that a pretty good guarantee that they'll get it at their next meeting? Because we've been talking about this forever. And and one more question.
Yes.
Is this gonna be this way every year from now on?
No, sir, the former superintendent wanted to get the state to do the audit, is what I was told, They did, when the school board acquired the services of the state to do that audit, they were sort of at the end of the list because of their auditors and the cycle. And I have been told that they're looking to go with a local firm for the next audit, which should speed things up. But they're at the mercy of the state in this process. We've had a lot of,
do that, didn't
Rick's had a lot of discussions with Craig about this.
we? We used to do that, and it had the same problems, I think, and we went.
The state.
And I don't know why, especially since the city of Scottsboro is responsible for not only our debt, but their debt, Gooseman debt, and everybody else's debt, so it would seem to me that they would do the right thing and get it local and
I agree.
proceed.
I agree.
So we're gonna put this on the agenda for next week, and, we'll have discussions this week whether to move forward with this or see when we have an audited statement in place. If it's gonna be several weeks, I think we probably need to move forward.
Gotcha.
Okay. Next is discuss the opioid lawsuit. The mayor and I had the opportunity to meet with legal team that is representing some other municipalities. Mr. Mayor, you want to weigh in on this?
Well,
You want me to lead the discussion or what?
I mean, it's been a hot topic all over the state, and Mr. Kinnemer and I think we also met with a different legal team as well. And I think, and Mr. Kinnemer, you chime in, but it's one of those things where if you wait, there comes a certain point, and I'm not a lawyer, but at a certain point, if we haven't already filed from a municipality standpoint our own suit, then we're sort of put in the basket with everybody within the state that doesn't file. And when it comes time to a settlement, if you're one of the primary,
Primary litigants.
yes, then if you are that, then you're entitled to a larger settlement, I think, if there is a settlement.
Throughout the country, municipalities, hospital boards, counties, states, and soon perhaps even the federal government are going to be engaged in this class action lawsuit. There is currently pending litigation before the federal district court in Washington. Our friends at the Jackson County Commission, I think, voted last week to enter into the litigation. I think they left it to Mr. Porter and the chairman to determine which firm to use. I think it has now reached the stage where it is important for Scottsboro to get into the litigation too. If you choose to do so, it is my understanding it will be at no cost to the city. Any attorney's fees for the outside counsel bringing the action would come from any settlement results that the city achieved. If one looks at the data, Jackson County is one of the worst counties for opioid problems in the country. We don't have a problem here with Bitcoin or other fraudulent currencies being legal tender or illegal tender. We have a problem with pills being illegal tender in this county.
Well,
And our jails have been full, our police have been placed in danger and overworked. I prosecuted a case as a special prosecutor last week with a woman driving by a kindergarten so high she didn't know that she was in Scottsboro, Alabama on prescription medication. It is a problem, and this is an attempt on the part of various states, various counties, various cities throughout this country to force, under federal law, companies that have not been doing what they're required to do under federal law, to do what they're supposed to do.
right.
It does not impact, in my mind, any local.
And that's what I was going, it doesn't impact the local physician nor drugstores, and we have a local wholesaler in the industrial park, and they're not impacted in any way.
I think the societal impact is devastating. I think that it puts a strain on not only our productivity as far as workforce in our community, but it puts a strain on our court systems, our police forces. The state of Alabama has entered into this suit. Alabama is the 5th worst state in the nation as far as opiate consumption. And Jackson County is in the top 10 counties in the state of Alabama. So it would certainly be my recommendation that we enter into this agreement, just as the Jackson County Commission has, as well as other hospitals in the areas in the state of Alabama. Any other questions, comments, concerns regarding that?
I would ask that if you choose to do this, that you do it in such a way as the county commission did, to allow the municipal attorney and the mayor to execute all documents with appropriate firms. I personally think it's important from a strategic standpoint that we be aligned with Jackson County and some of the surrounding counties and municipalities.
Yeah.
It'll be much easier to get that kind of data. It's going to be necessary for the courts.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Can you draft that for us for next week?
Yes, sir.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
I agree as well, that would be a good way to go. But prior to next Monday night, could we have a list of the people that we might be considering, the law firms we might be considering?
Sure.
And also the percentage of what they would charge us,
Yes.
if we chose them. And we can keep it confidential.
I don't have the percentages that they will charge. I can tell you that I have received information requests from Huntsville firms, from firms such as Beasley Allen and Montgomery, former Lieutenant Governor Jerry Beasley's big plaintiff's firm, Randy Beard's firm in Guntersville, Rocky Watson's firm in Fort Payne. Every major plaintiff's firm in the state is trying to line up clients.
Will they tell you that percentage or?
They might.
We could, I think, if I may, I think one of the firms that we have discussed, I think would certainly share a client list.
Right.
And I think that would be helpful.
We'll set that for next week. We'll move to delegations. Mr. Parsons? Mr. Parsons, you'll have to forgive me. We've had your application in past packets. Don't have it in the packet tonight.
Oh.
But Ms. Phillips is going to make a copy real quick and give to us. So
Yeah,
you have 5 minutes.
well, I appreciate that, and I do think, thank you for at least allowing me to talk about it, because this is a very economical boost to the city of Scottsboro via the lodging tax tourism grant program, and I feel like it would be well beneficial to, and I think otherwise you've trained me well on signing up for the delegation. I just put it off too long, I agree. Should I wait on?
No, you can.
Oh, great. But this is for the Heartland Anglers Bass Tournament, which will be held November 2nd and 3rd of this year. And November can be looked at as a very slow month tourism-wise, and it always helps to bring additional people in November, especially as tournament this side. This is their championship tournament, and and we've negotiated a cost through them of $10,000, and I'm asking for at least a 50% grant, and because and as I've said before, I feel like in any of this grant program, I feel like we need to have what I call skin in the game. I feel like at least 50% should be paid by the organization asking for the grant, and that's what I'm doing here. is that the chamber will cover the 5,000 and asking the city for the 5,000 from the lodging tax grant program. And they're estimating that for this championship tournament that over 500 registered anglers and plus the organizers will be part of this tournament out of Goose Pond, and 85% of these anglers are from out of state. The organization is headquartered in, I believe it's in Tennessee, and they're bringing that, and they are all over the Heartland Anglers are all over the South. They initially had asked for rooms, but they found a large home or a large cabin where they can put all their organizers in, so we don't have to worry about that. But I did put an estimated economic impact study in with my original report. Is that still part of that? Great. And as you can see, it covers all the hotel expenditures for food, gas and oil, and then of course miscellaneous daily expenses. So the estimated direct benefit to the city of Scotts, to our small businesses, is around a little over 500,000. And of course, you can, as you can see, the estimated sales tax from that would benefit, and then you add the additional lodging tax that they will be spending from the 127,193 would be part of that also. And of course, after the tournament is over, after doing a little research and talking to our hotels and finding out exactly how much, I'll do another direct economic impact study within 60 days after the event's completion.
Any questions?
5 minutes.
It says $10,000, 5 for us, 5 for you, that's
Yes.
correct? But then at the next page, it says 10,800. Who paid the other 800?
We'll cover that. That's for the, they did ask for porta potties out there. We'll supply those porta potties.
I wasn't gonna say that, I was just gonna say 800.
But that's part of their contract.
Okay, any questions?
Any more? Was the money that they're requesting, assistance, was that based on the number of boats? Is it a guarantee, is that number, would it fluctuate if they didn't have as many boats?
It would, I'll have to look directly at the contract.
I thought it might be, we had talked about a couple others, and I didn't know if the fee was tied into the boats or if it was a flat fee.
It could go, actually go over it,
But that's a cap. That's a cap.
$10,000 a cap.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate, again, I think the lodging tax grant program is an excellent idea. I think it will help us, and I think help Meg bring in more events that do cost money, and because that tourism grant program continues to build up because of that, it's going to be a huge benefit in helping us bring more events like this to the city.
Thank you, JP. I'll give the council time to go over your information.
Any other
We'll set
questions
it-
about the available?
We'll set it for a work session, and you can come, and they can address any questions that they might have. That'll be 2 weeks.
Ms. Phillips,
That'll be
let me
2
know when.
weeks from tonight.
Okay, great.
March 19th, okay?
Thank you.
We'll move to reports, Mr. Mayor.
3 or 4 information things. Scottsburg Electric Power Board just donated or surplus 2 Chevy Blazers. They gave us first choice. We accepted them. I talked to Rick about it, and we're hoping to replace some pretty aged vehicles that we have, and we'll surplus them, but they only had about 100,000 miles on each one. So we have taken those to the maintenance shop, and they're going over those before we put them in service, and then we'll come back later and see what vehicles we'll surplus. TBA Invest Prep is a program through TBA where it's a grant application process, and the city with the Industrial Development Board, the EDA, and the county commission, we have met and discussed, and we're working together on a grant application. This would be for some road work, extension and improvements in the industrial park behind KTNA that the IDB is partners with. Clemens Road, Josh checked, the state hadn't completed the paperwork yet. I've had several people asking me when that project would start. Paperwork's not completed. We're hoping that sometime in April we'll have our pre-construction meeting, but there's no definite date on that yet. And then we had met today, and hopefully this week we'll be putting out our packet for a bid on the storm shelter at Randall's Chapel. We've had some inquiries on that.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Mr. Stewart?
That's good to hear about the storm shelters. Yep. I'm happy about that. The other thing I'd like to recognize McGee and Roney again. It's wonderful that they got recognized by the state. And I hope that they get those medals, but they're always heroes in my eyes. Just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Smith?
I don't have.
I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and I appreciate you coming for the Main Street presentation. I look forward to seeing if we can work together in those regards. As I said earlier, it's a program that Patrick and I have been looking at for several years and have had some interest in. I'd also like to thank the officers for their dedicated service and putting their life on the line to serve another. With that, we'll stand adjourned until next week.